in spirit and prayer.
My name is Greg Rupick, a contributing editor with One Accord. For our issue on the topic creation, I have the distinct pleasure of speaking with Sister Sheila Kinsey. Sister Sheila is Executive Co-Secretary of the Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation Commission for the Union of Superior Generals and the International Union of Superior Generals. She is a member of the Wheaton Franciscans, a United States province of the Franciscan Sisters, Daughters of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today, Sister Sheila.
Okay, it's a pleasure. I'm glad to join you and to share some of the ideas that I have. And as we go further in this discussion, I think we'll come to a new place that will be enriching for both of us. Thank you very much.
So I wanted to start just asking a few questions about yourself, your own personal journey. Can you tell us about your journey to the Wheaton Franciscans?
Yes, I certainly can. I was attracted to these sisters because they were strong, vibrant women who could size up a situation in need, come up with a solution, and really respond compassionately in the community. They were women who were able to develop a strong healthcare system, as well as housing, affordable housing for those in need. And they were really leaders in terms of working with persons with HIV and AIDS, going to the forefront of having that be a healing ministry and accepting of these persons in their condition, and really having them become vibrant members of the community. So in this way, we became aware of really in touch with that which is very vulnerable and those who are suffering. They were also clear about other issues of social justice and peace building efforts, all of those. And I was involved in that as well. But I had to stop and think, now, why would I want to join this community? So I was in the chapel and I had a little nudge to look over to the left of the chapel. And I saw some elderly sisters. And the question came to me, do I want to be like them? And the answer was yes. I saw in these women who are content with the way they live their life, loving women, prayerful women, and certainly receptive of others. And so I made the decision to join this community.
That's so beautiful. That's an amazing story.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So after having spent some time with the Wheaton Franciscans, I imagine you then made a rather profound shift, at least from my reading of the situation. Right. What then called you to your work for the International Union of Superior Generals, Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation Commission?
Well, because we're an international community, we had a chapter, and I was elected to the General Council because of my focus on justice, peace, and care for the integrity of creation. It was clear that I have a passion for that. And so as that promoter, I certainly animated it in my congregation, but I was a part of a group of other promoters, and I was the chair of the Integrity of Creation Working Group. And one of the areas that we looked at was mining, because we were hearing the cry from our religious men and women of the disastrous situations of people living in mining areas, and also the violations of human rights. So we got actively involved in many ways in trying to deal with that situation, and we continue to do that. And as recently from the Synod on the Amazon, we had set a statement that was posted on the website, really dealing with mining and how we need to be going after that situation. So after when I finished my term as a general counselor, I decided to apply for the position of the JPIC co-executive position, and I was accepted. So I was excited about having a broader avenue, a broader range of bringing the gifts and talents that I have and the wisdom and the vision that I see for JPIC.
Fantastic. And how long have you been a co-executor in that position?
Well, it will be 5 years. 5 years.
Fantastic.
So there's a lot of experience to talk about there. That's for sure.
That's great.
When it's your passion, you don't think about it being work.
Absolutely.
Because it certainly is what you love, and it's your response in a special way to what God is calling you to do. And you need to be attentive to that. And I always say that I will always be able to do what God wants me to do. Not always what I want to do, but what God wants me to do, it'll come through. I know that.
JPIC's website, I was struck by this kind of tagline that's all over it. You say, looking for ways to respond to our call to holiness as contemplatives in action who promote God's reign of justice, peace, and love. And I wonder if you could say a few words about what it might mean to be a contemplative in action.
Okay, well, it's certainly not someone who's always looking up in the sky. So we want to be able to put our lives at the service of others. So as religious, I can kind of look at it this way. And I would like to quote Micah 6:8, because that's very dear to my heart. And he says to live justly, which we are to do in the spirit of poverty, to love tenderly in our chastity, and to walk humbly with God in our obedience, that we want to be listening to God as God speaks to us. And actually, it's all about love. It should be about what we get up in the morning, what we choose to do, and that should be so vibrant within our lives that we share that with others and call others to experience that same thing. So we have to have that experience of being deeply loved by God to stop and see it. You know, we can look at the world and God might ask us, I made this whole world for you. Did you like it? So it's time to find messages, you know, the messages from the environment, from the cosmos that speaks to us about how we need to be living our life, about change, for example, in the autumn. You know, can we move with that? Can we move as freely as the water? Can we be as strong as the trees? You know, and the vibrant as the sun. So looking at God speaking to us in nature, and Pope Francis is asking us to do that. We want to be able to carry that forward. And although I said, I reflected on Micah as a religious, that's for all of us. It's for all of us to live justly and love tenderly and walk humbly with God. We need to be able to see, perceive as Christ would see our world. We need to respond with a compassionate heart, and we need to act in a way that was life-giving for others. Our ability to be able to be with them in a way that matters, in a way that is attentive to where they are and what we can find together. And in Laudato Si 9, Pope Francis says, as Christians, we are also called to accept the world as a sacrament of communion, as a way of sharing with God and our neighbor on a global scale. And I would say that's sacred action. I mean, we're moving beyond, and as important as our 7 sacraments are, and I'm not diminishing that in any way, but we have to see from those sacraments what we should be living out in our lives. And it's about bringing people together. It's about nurturing others. That's so important. And we're called to do that, for sure.
The JPIC also has this Sowing Hope for the Planet campaign, and I wonder if it's part of that same process. Can you speak to what that campaign is and how it's grown out of the JPIC's mission?
Well, it was a desire that was posed by the Union of Superior Generals of Women Religious to live Laudato Si. So as you can see, there's been a history of dealing with integrity of creation already on many fronts. So it would be natural that our office would be asked to be a part of that, to be active in creating this website or really promoting this campaign. So we were creating this concept about what could be energizing with a campaign and how could we process this through. So we have a rich history already of responding to the cries of the earth and the cry of the poor in various dimensions of religious life. We gather on the website and we've asked for them, you know, information that's already existing in the activities that they're doing relating to Laudato Si. So it's a matter of bringing it together, binding it together as a message, and not say, oh, this is one more thing we're putting on. No, we're finding how we can work together and strengthen that activity, what the religious congregations are doing. So from a database, from resources that they have implemented, that they want to share, we're inspired. We want to network. We see some advantage of that. And so when their plenary session came a year later in 2019, the religious women who are the Superior Generals, 850 of them, you know, when they saw a video of what is already happening, they accepted this kind of a vision statement to move forward. We commit ourselves to both personal and communal conversion, and we wish to move forward together in an orchestrated and coordinated response in listening to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. We go forth in instruments of hope in the heart of the world. So I think that that kind of if we can use the word feminine process of interrelating with one another to try to bring those who are working together as a way of finding significance, because we want every religious to have the opportunity to be involved, to make a difference, whether they're offering up their suffering, whether they are engaged in activities in the community, dealing with pollution, dealing with water scarcity, dealing with how they can deal with certain human rights. We are talking to one another through webinars. People are taking us to their places. We see this and we hear it from the voices of those who are there. And so the strength is going to the local area, but it also is bringing it to the wider scene. And we're really conscious of finding a way of dealing with the issues, of dealing with the tenderness of the issues in a way that we can be united together to make a difference as we focus on what is happening and what we can do really together.
That kind of focus on what we can do seems to be grounded also in this quote from Pope Francis from Laudato Si that I also found on the website, that I found very provocative in the best of way, where he says in Laudato Si 19, our goal is to become painfully aware, to dare to turn what's happening to the world into our own personal suffering, and thus to discover what each of us can do about it. So there's this sense of active receptivity and a willingness to dive into and to experience and see and listen and feel that pain and to make it our own. Can you speak maybe a little bit more to the kind of centrality of this idea of receptivity in the work that you do?
Well, I think, and I want to say the feminine dimension, but I'm not saying it's only with women. I think the feminine dimension is with both men and women, but it is more pronounced, I think, in a larger way with women. So it's the ability to come to the table of dealing with those who are disenfranchised, those who are not included, dealing in solidarity, dealing with the pain of those who feel isolated and who lack creativity to make a difference in their world. So in those ways, yes, we're about the physical needs, but we have to go further into the relational concepts. Relationships really, really matter. And what I found so helpful and promising when I went to your publication on Accord is that you're about coming with important contributions. It's not only about what you're against and which the problems, but we need to go forward. We need to find a way to be on the journey, to have a voice. And Fratelli Tutti is a wonderful document. And I don't want to diminish that. It's all about love. But I'm looking for how many of the women are included in that in terms of examples, external examples. And it's easier to use women when they are trafficked or abused or in poverty. Okay, they are in need. And I don't want to diminish those efforts. They certainly need to be there. But women who are strong and can bring to the forefront at the table, not afterwards, at the table where those decisions need to be made. And so we have an avenue, and it actually drew the attention of the Vatican with the Dicastery of Human Development, because it's an integrated approach. It's about showing life. It's about building on what can be done in a way that's invitatory, that wants to have others included. We want more. We don't want to be an isolated example. And so with this integral ecology task force, we're bringing and asking, where do religious need to be in the forefront? And there is a rollout plan that the dicastery has that has 7 groups involved, and our religious are in all of those. We are in universities, we're in healthcare, we're working in parishes, we're working in many areas. So we want to be clear about what our contribution can be. And we want to just speak our truth quietly and confidently, but make sure that those who need our help are there, but also those who have the voice have the ability to say what their needs are. So that nurturing development, with women, you got to go out there You got to get out there in the world. That kind of thing is important. How are we helping people grow and develop? And so we bring that dimension. So I want to say that that's been exciting, being on that task force and hearing, the different components being shared by others that are involved in this work, in a way that we listen to one another and really strive to create a future. We have a window of doing that. And we need to be conscious of that.
Sister Sheila, many blessings on your continued work in this important ministry to the church. And thank you once more for your generosity in speaking with me today.
Okay. Thank you so much, Greg. It's been my pleasure. God bless.
United in spirit.